Hi, I'm Derek Ashong, and you are now in The Stream, a social media community with its own daily TV show. We're bringing you stories that are ongoing, global, and sourced from social media. Today, we're looking at a young lawyer who's fighting Islamophobia one YouTube video at a time, copyright violation as a form of worship, and why Uganda is threatening to shut down Facebook and Twitter because people are simply walking to work. With me today, as always, is our digital producer, Ahmed Shiab Eldin. Welcome, Ahmed.
Thanks, my man.
Yo, and also joining us today in the stream is Glynis McNichol. She is a producer or an editor at the popular website Business Insider. Thank you so much, Glynis, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Glynis, you brought to our attention a breaking news story that has really taken root today, but it's kind of a sad story. We're wondering if you could give us a little bit of insight on it.
It's a tragic story. Earlier today, news broke on Facebook, actually, that Oscar-nominated director and photographer Tim Hetherington had been killed in Libya, and along with him injured 3 other photographers. So the photographer that was with him posted this on Facebook as an update, and continued to update with the condition. And then it's spread across Twitter, and now it's been confirmed with the Times and a number of other news organizations.
Well, I appreciate that you took the time to let our audience know about this, and it's something we're going to post that to our website so they can find more information on it. I think it's worth remembering the danger that journalists go through in order to bring us this information.
Terrible, and we keep being reminded of it, I think, as the conflict in the Mideast increases and spreads, how dangerous it is.
Exactly.
To cover.
Well, what we want to do today is cover a few stories that are going to represent things happening in the United States as well as various parts of the world. We're actually going to start in the U.S. today in Dearborn, Michigan, where controversial pastor Terry Jones, who's become infamous for his burning of the Quran last March, plans to visit America's largest mosque on Good Friday to protest what he believes is the encroachment of Sharia law in the United States. Local community members are responding by organizing an interfaith show of unity. And one young attorney has gone an extra step further and taken the fight online. Now, I want to draw your attention to my computer screen because this one really struck me when I first saw it. I'm just going to scroll through a little bit. You see this poster? It's got a picture of Terry, the pastor in question, talking about Quran burning day. It's happening April 22nd, Dearborn, Michigan, and the book he's talking about is called Islam is the Devil. This is his, allegedly there's going to be a signing. Well, here come some young people who see the poster, and what's their response? Let's take a look.
That's horrible.
This guy's sick.
Clearly they don't like it much. Sad. Oh, but wait. One guy's coming back. What could he possibly be thinking? Well, Jeff is a patriot. Oh, Jeff, what are you doing, Jeff?
I noticed the music switch.
The
right
music
here.
switches,
That's
right?
nice.
And the music has now flipped from an Arabic theme to a Yankee Doodle. I think you get the picture here. And this video is quite a trip, as you can see. Well, joining us now on Skype from Dearborn, Michigan, is Moose Shaib, a graduate of Columbia Law School and founder of Mizna Entertainment and the creator of this particular video. Moose, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the stream.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate you guys taking an interest in this video, and we just had a lot of fun making it, so I'm glad that people are enjoying it.
Well, it's clear you had a lot of fun making it, and the thing that I love the most is, you know, everyone gets so excised about the stuff that this pastor's been doing. You know, he was talking about burning a Quran back last summer. He did it back in March. We saw people dying in various cities in Afghanistan. A number of Afghans as well as UN personnel were killed. But you guys are taking a completely different take on this. I mean, you're using comedy in a way to combat this extremism. Tell us a little bit about how you got the idea and what's supposed to happen on Friday.
You know, well, basically on Friday, let me just start there, and I'll tell you a little bit about the video and what our message is. But on Friday, he's coming to the largest mosque in North America, which you mentioned, and he's planning on having some kind of rally. It's not sure yet if he's going to burn the Quran there, but it's Friday prayer. It's actually on Altar Road. There's 3 churches, massive churches right next to each other, and a mosque. And it's also Good Friday. So who knows what he really has planned, but it's, you know, coming on a Friday prayer during Good Friday from Florida, giving his background. It's going to be, who knows what's going to happen.
Are you hoping, I mean, I think there's probably some concern that this might get violent. I think after what happened at the UN in Afghanistan, there was some concerns, there was threats on his life. Are you hoping to sort of diffuse the situation with humor a little bit?
You hit it exactly on the head here. We thought about how do we reach some of our folks, some of the young people, some of the different genres of folks that are affected by, you know, hate speech in general. And we thought, well, why don't we do it through comedy? Because through comedy, sometimes you can say things that you can't say otherwise.
Absolutely.
That are, you know, politically correct.
Absolutely.
So we said, you know, he really doesn't deserve much of a production. First of all, I didn't want to spend all the time and energy to produce anything.
You didn't want to get into Hollywood budgets for this guy.
No, he doesn't deserve that. And if you notice, we don't even say his name anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that he deserves to even have the publicity of having his name out there. So what we try to do is just say Pastor Jones or the Quran burning pastor or the pastor from Florida. But the main thing is that we don't want his message out. We're trying to put out a message of people should just ignore this guy.
Yeah.
They should basically have a good laugh at him, because he had 30 followers at one point, and now I think he's down to 3. I'm not sure why the media is out there. You know, basically they want something to happen.
Yeah.
They want some kind of confrontation to happen. And I'm saying through comedy, hey, you know what? We should just sit back and have a good laugh at this guy, because he's a joker.
Hey,
and
Moose,
he doesn't.
I'm just gonna jump in here really quickly, just because I've been to Dearborn, but for people who haven't been to Dearborn, we have a tweet here from Anwar Riku, and he's saying, in an open letter to Pastor Terry Jones, Dearborn mayor notes that Dearborn has 3 strip clubs as proof the city is not under Sharia law, because I think that's what he's alleging. Maybe you could just clarify this for us a bit.
You know, I can't, although I'm a lawyer, I don't know anything about Sharia law. So
You didn't study that at Columbia? My dude.
We didn't study, you know, there was a class, Islamic law at Columbia. I didn't study much of that.
But, you know, this brings up, sorry, go ahead, finish your point.
No, not too many people talk about Sharia law. You know, one of my buddies, Mike Ishak, put out a video talking about shawarma law. People love shawarma around here.
Yeah, but so no Sharia, just shawarma.
But this is the thing that's so interesting, because I hear people talking about this stuff. Terry Jones brings it up. This guy, Frank Gaffney, brings it up. Like there's this movement to institute Sharia law in the United States.
Are obviously A, not Muslim, and B, not well acquainted with the Muslim religion. But I've heard people bring it up. It's sort of this pervasive conspiracy theory that I used to equate with birthers.
Yeah.
But what's frightening about that a little bit is that birtherism appears to have gone mainstream in the last few weeks, in courtesy of Donald Trump. Whereas this sense, this belief that Sharia law, that people are looking to implement Sharia law across the land, is very destructive. But it's out there.
To clarify, because we have an international audience, when you're talking about birtherism, you mean the people who claim that Barack Obama was born in Kenya and not in Hawaii, like his birth certificate. And I always say to people, I'm like, look, I was actually born in Africa, unlike our president. I can never be president, but the president was clearly born in Hawaii.
Yes.
However, by bringing up this sort of conspiracy theorist argument, they create something to fight against. And you're basically saying that they do the same thing with Sharia. No one is out here arguing we should institute Sharia in the United States, but they're using it as a wedge to drive people apart. And that's what really strikes me about what Moose is doing, because they're using comedy to kind of bring us all together.
Yeah, and Moose, it's probably worth mentioning, you know, we talk about social media and how anybody can get into the conversation on this show, but also on this topic, we have someone from Egypt, this guy named Ahmed K. Fatuh, who's saying, may Allah guide Terry Jones along the right path. Amen. True Muslims have no bad intentions to any human alive. Which is just interesting to see someone all the way from Egypt chiming in with this viewpoint.
Wow, that's very interesting. And I tell you, a lot of people, okay, you might not hear this very often, but I'm of the opinion that Terry Jones has done a lot of good for our community, because in the last 10 years, I moved back to Michigan from New York. I lived out there for 5 years, and I was active in the community there. But when I moved back here, there really was nothing that brought people together. You know, you had your Muslim, your Shia, your Sunni, you have your Christian Lebanese, you have your Iraqis, you have your Yemenis. There's a diverse community, as all Arabs are, but I've never seen a community come together so beautifully as I've seen lately because of this visit. Well, so if anything that we could say, thank you, you know, Pastor, for helping people come together. And when I say that, because I was invited by the Islamic Center to participate in some of their meetings, you had fathers there, rabbis there, preachers from different faiths. And I think that all meeting at the mosque on a regular basis to discuss, you know, what the planning is and what the response is. And really, it's captured in our video because we want Arab Americans or Muslim Americans to kind of just ignore him, because we don't want that picture of these, you know, radicals that are protesting.
But the beauty of what you guys are doing is it goes even beyond Arab and Muslim Americans, because basically, I mean, Friday, that's a holy day. It's first of all, it's the day of prayer for Islam. Yeah. It is the Jewish Sabbath, and you're also looking at, you know, Good Friday, one of the holiest days in the Christian tradition. And what you guys are saying is, you know what, this guy is reminding us of the reason why we should all be together, and that's a powerful, powerful statement.
And just to add, right before you get there, I just want to say, you know, we've been asking people to send us information, and we posted that we were going to be discussing this story, and someone on Facebook named Leandro Oliva sent us a link to the National Survey of American Muslim the National Survey of American Muslims is finding that mosques actually help Muslims integrate into American political life. And there's actually a graphic right here, and just a statistic that I'm going to throw out. While 77% of those with the lowest levels of religiosity feel Islam is compatible with political involvement in America, it's almost 100%, 95% of those who are most religious feel Islam is compatible with American politics.
And so basically that belies this idea that if you are a practicing Muslim or committed Muslim, you are somehow anti-American. We're seeing evidence that's showing that no, conservative practicing Muslims actually believe that their faith helps them to integrate into the existing American political system, which is the opposite of what these guys are arguing, that people are trying to institute Sharia law.
And we're going to post this on our website because there's a lot more interesting information in here talking about how mosques help Muslims integrate into U.S. society, and it actually helps them bridge gaps between, you know, the different sects, essentially non-Muslims and Muslims.
Well, I want you who are watching right now not to forget that we're looking all the time for your take on these stories, so keep the tweets coming to @AJStream.
Hey, I'm Xavier, I'm from Belgium, and I'm in the stream.
Now, we all know that downloading a bootleg copy of your favorite movie or video is copyright infringement and is illegal. But what if downloading or copying protected works was part of your religion? That's exactly what the Missionary Church of Caupism is claiming. Now, earlier the stream had a chance to talk to Isaac Gerson, who is a gentleman who basically founded this religion in Sweden. He's a 19-year-old, and this is what he had to say about it.
The basic idea is that information and copying is kind of holding its own rights and are sacred to us. So we believe that copying and sharing of information shouldn't be illegal, but it should be encouraged. I can't actually say how many religious practices there are, but in our register, which originally was only thought of for Sweden, we have about 500 persons, but we have a lot of people registering internationally.
So this is a whole different take on how we think about religion and copyright. And we're lucky very much to have Moose joining us from Dearborn to talk about the last topic. Coming in to discuss this one further, we're joined via Skype by Jake Diliberto, a former U.S. Marine who is now here based in the United States, working with Veterans for Rethinking Afghanistan. Jake, welcome to the stream.
Yeah, glad to be with you guys.
Glad to see you too here. We actually saw you in person on Monday, but you look good on Skype too.
Thanks. It was a great party, man.
No doubt, no doubt. Jake joined us at our launch party for the stream. So listen, Jake, So this is a story basically about a guy who's taking this idea of copyright freedom to another level. We just talked about a project where people are taking some extreme religious views and, you know, using them to beat people down. Other people are using comedy to battle against it. Well, this is a guy who's saying, well, something that is already controversial in society, he's going to use religion as his particular way to address it. What's your take on the faith of Copimism?
I mean, every day we got a new religion. We got Scientology. We got like something else. I mean, I don't know. I would say stick to the Abrahamic faiths, you know, personally.
You're old school like that.
Yeah, you know, I'm a little old school, but I'll take it. All right, so check this out. This cat, what he's doing, I think is interesting because he's really working with the political, religious establishment to try to change the idea about religion and then also change the idea about information and what it means. And what's cool is that he's saying, hey, by the way, it's cool to copy ideas that are good, and it's cool to quote them, and we don't need to have a monopoly about ideas. And I like that because he's taken good ideas and he's bringing them to the Republic. What I don't like about it is that I think he sort of degrades traditional religions that have been around for thousands of years. So I'm a little skeptical, but I think it's cool.
What do you think about that, Glenn?
I'm just curious, is he sourcing, say, the Bible to back up his claims that we should, he's just decided this is a standalone religion?
This is his own religion. He's saying that Control Command C and Control Z are sacred.
Are sacred as in their God-given rights to...
It's worth mentioning that essentially this sounds like utopia, and one of our viewers is saying that. We put out feelers asking what people think. Russell_Murphy is saying, obvious question, short of a utopian revolution, how is Copimism's idea of free information supposed to work? Who knows? Who knows?
Okay, well,
it's also just, I think, dealing with the obvious of what's going to happen. Information is shared all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether or not...
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'm a practicing copymist, but I copy stuff all the time. Hopefully not stuff that's illegal. You know, we're on TV.
Well,
so.
maybe this is a smart branding move for him. He's branded people that have already existed.
How do I get converted? Like, how do I join the church? You know, do I just have to copy and paste?
Well, that's a great question, Jake. We're actually going to post the link on our website, which will let you know more about the Church of Copimism. If you want to join, we are not necessarily sanctioning it, but it will let you know. It is very easy to get involved in. If you have a story to share with us, definitely tweet us at the hashtag #TellAlJazeera.
Hi, my name is Catherine Marr. I work on technology for human rights and democracy, and I'm in the stream.
Want to move on to our third story today. In Uganda, people are walking to work to protest high prices and are facing a police crackdown and possible arrest. But now the government may take things one step further and shut down Facebook and Twitter. This is a story that really engaged me. First of all, because it's a story coming out of Africa. I try to keep in touch with things going back on the motherland, even though I'm from a different part of the continent. But still, basically, you've got people in Uganda that are like, the price of gas, the price of food, it's too high. And if our folks cannot afford to walk, to literally drive to work, then we're going to walk to work. But unfortunately, the government has cracked down in a really major way, and they've been arresting some significant opposition leaders who've been figuring in this case. I think that I've got a little bit of an image right here. This is an image of a particular Ugandan leader, Besigye actually, who was arrested. He's being arrested by the police. And as you can see, he's an older man. He's being roughed up.
So is he being arrested for walking? Because the walk is the protest?
He's being arrested for walking to work. The walk is the protest. And we've got some cool video, but I want to get some context first from an actual Ugandan blogger whom we spoke with earlier, Rosabelle Kagumure, and she can give some context, and then we're going to look at some footage of what's really going down over there.
On 14th, we had reports that actually some of the TV stations were switched off. One of the TV stations, there's a report that it was switched off for some minutes before the people realized. And also, so they have been warned that their licenses could have an impact. And one of the TV stations, which is major, which is NTV, has already been affected by government controls in the past. So this, of course, affects the way the media responds.
You know, the actual TV station in question, we have some of the video, and it's worth showing right here. So I'm just going to play it through, and we can talk right over it. You see, this is the opposition leader right here. And essentially, they're throwing him into the back of a truck. And he's already been injured because I believe he was shot several days ago. And now look, you know, they're throwing him into the back of this truck. And this video obviously has been widely circulated. And we have a series of other pictures.
Well, that video is really disturbing because, first of all, you see his hand is wrapped up. That's because he was shot in the hand by a rubber bullet last week. Now, what she mentioned is that one of these particular news outlets, NTV, was shut down and has been under threat for a while. Well, we found that footage and it's labeled NTV. We're not sure if it's the exact same NTV, but that's what struck us is she's telling us these stories of how they're coming down on the press, they're trying to shut down Facebook and Twitter, they're coming down on the opposition, and now we see him being manhandled.
And it sounds like what they're scared of is what's been going on in the Middle East, which is we don't want to give people a way to connect with each other and mobilize. That mobilization is walking to work as a protest. It seems like they're trying to preempt anything happening like as we've been seeing happen across the Mideast.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's for those of you who are following the story online, the hashtag is walk to work, but even here there's a photo of a New Vision, which is Uganda's leading website in English, a 20-year-old rather, who has a bullet in his head, and there's his father next to him. We have a series of images. We'll just roll through them. Some of them are actually really powerful. This is, they're setting up roadblocks essentially to try and prevent them and in order to secure their path. Some of the other images, I guess, are still loading. And there he is. You see him right before, I think they took him.
The same guy. This is the same minister, just as he was being arrested. Jake, what do you think about this?
All right, check this out. Like, what bothers me so much is when governments try to control people talking. It's always better for us to be talking. It's always better for us to be communicating. And what bugs me is that the government is getting in the way of people just being people. It's better that we talk than not. And it's crazy that they would do that.
It also, there's been no success in recent months of any government preventing its people from speaking to each other or the outside world.
But it never ceases to stop them. And here's the amazing thing in this story, the part that really killed me. So they tried to shut down Facebook and Twitter, but they couldn't. Why? Because people kept finding out about which ISPs were trying to shut them down. And those ISPs saw a precipitous drop in usage, or at least people were threatening to leave them if they didn't do it. So the ISPs just had to comply with the interests of the people. It's almost like the market forces decided that no government, you cannot shut the people down.
And just to quickly highlight, Jake, some of the patterns. We were talking, I think, Glynis, you mentioned the Arab world, and we've seen these patterns emerge, of cracking down, of either turning the internet off or targeted phishing operations. But here we have a tweet from Miss B. Walia saying Museveni to block social media. Best and worst thing about African bullies is they don't learn from history. And she immediately followed it up with another tweet, Museveni best be careful. Africa is running out of safe havens for deposed bullies. Very soon we'll have to colonize an island.
The funniest thing about that is, a lot of these leaders came in from fighting against colonialism, and they were allegedly liberators to their people, and then they've imposed all of these harsh conditions, whether we're looking at Libya, you're looking at Zimbabwe, you're looking at so many different places. Glynis, when we see this sort of thing, how do you think that we around the world should be thinking about the interests of folks in a place like Uganda, where a story like this might not be being reported as widely worldwide?
Well, I think what happens and what we're seeing happen is that people just need a means to communicate with each other. And once they're presented with that, they take things into their own hands. So I think the responsibility, as we saw, in Egypt and again in Libya, is keeping those lines of communication opening and just helping further the story along on Twitter. We've seen multiple times now, and I think, the difference between the uprising in Iran in June of almost 2 years ago now and what's been happening in the Mideast is that this is a domino effect. We saw it start in January, and it's just the speed with which it's moving across that region keeps it in people's minds. So when you see people, say in Uganda, trying to pull themselves up like this, I think we're much more familiar with that now and much more willing to sort of lend a helping hand or lend a helping tweet. I don't think it's...
Yeah, in some way. Jake, one last question before we let you go. Do you think that leaders around the world are starting to be put on notice? It seems like this is spreading beyond the Arab world, this idea that people can change their governments.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, democracy and the rule by the people, by the masses, is always going to take over corrupt governments. It's taken over in places like Afghanistan. It's taken over into the Philippines, all over the place, even in the United States. And we've got great democracy things taking place here. And yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking that this is good, a good revolution.
Jake, I'm sorry to cut you off there. It looks like we're running out of time, but I think we're going to have you here soon, bro. So thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll see you again soon. Glynis, thank you so much for joining us. You've been great. Amit, as always, this has been wonderful. We're going to ask you to make sure you stay involved in the community. Thank you for joining the stream. Check us out, stream.aljazeera.com.